What's up? I needed to get some stuff off my chest today because I am in a Democratic whirlwind. And the right to life people really pissed me off. And I want to just say something like, only because I believe in the discussion. And like, we have to go somewhere with this as a society. Where are we going? How pro-life is it to be helping restrict access to abortion? Because there are so many things. What the pro-lifers should be offering to do is fucking apply the condom. They should be offering to step in and do the embarrassing work it takes not only to create a decent enough quality of life for people with considering all the responsibility people are already bearing to raise kids. The matter of inconveniencing people, trouncing through the mud, we have to look at this as adding insult to injury, like the nonviolent drug offenders getting locked up and getting discriminated against in their job descriptions, and flipping people already being knocked up in an undesirable situation and then having to travel farther and go to greater lengths and possibly these unsafe conditions for abortion is putrid. We don't have to accept it. When the Congress wants to invest in cures and we're going to leave the vulnerable out to rot with as many babies as they can fit in their flippin' arms if they're accidents, I mean, it is so irresponsible, but there's so many worse irresponsible things, and haphazard reproduction is worse than just trying to live out like the life you want. It's the only most important decision in the decision-making process is what it means to that woman and her situation at that time, and not like ours to insert our shit here when people are languishing for solutions and just a healthy tip to even stop breathing in. Why doesn't the pro-life movement go after the 30% obesity rate and this hundreds of thousands of people dying of tobacco and just do something so mainstream health that the CDC is having trouble with anyway? And I have no reliable heart health advocates to warn people about trans fats and all these trans fat traps in the community. This is a big deal, and now the pesticides are hurting the bees. So you're saying if you're not doing anything for vegan omega-3s or less water wasted in animal agribusiness and manure pollution for the toxic dead zones, you're saying these kids should be born into our lead world, our mercury world, our climate problems, our food waste disaster hazards, our pipelines bursting, our methane leaking wellheads, our new coal mines for the 60-year-olds to flippin' get mining jobs and when we need green jobs so bad. Like, we're not gonna flipping like take being set back for some gerrymandered even into some like off, like not needed. This is so fundamentally wrong that someone with less authority vested in him by the electorate, the third less. There's Obama, then there's Hillary, then there's Trump. Those are the people with the trust of the electorate people, using the only currency we have in the system that is flipping. You could end up, lead toxified, mercury toxified, autismified, breathing in the diesel particulates for the asthma in the ghetto, eating the trans fats for your ADHD and your obesity rate, disease risks, and flipping disenfranchised in Trump's America. This is the aggravated world we're asking people to put up with so that your kids can be born into this Betsy DeVos's private religious school and ExxonMobil at the EPA while the president does locker room grab pussy talks. Like, there is no place for this to be like so uproariously, ridiculously unmandated and uncalled for. That the president has sole authority. Like, he really, like, our nation is at a huge disadvantage without a Supreme Court justice. All the justices, we've been in the streets for justice for how long? I'm like, and we can't flipping get a justice, like a justice with somebody with the true authority of the voters, that Trump only got votes where he needed them. He gained so much ground. How did 200,000 new people show up for him in Pennsylvania over Romney? Over 200,000, where he couldn't even gain 10,000 votes over Romney in Georgia, where population has grown 5 times what population has grown in Pennsylvania. This is just out of the woodwork. Like, how can these geographical idiosyncrasies like totally construct our election system? So break the mind meld that this right-wing shit is not acceptable. And Mitch McConnell, this is not called leadership. You cannot expect to pass the Cures Act and then put somebody on the Supreme Court who is going to threaten equitable treatment under the law that we need for the safe healthcare access. I want abortion rights, but I want medical marijuana too, and I want flipping discrimination protection from LGBTs at the workplace, because really how we carry ourselves is like in between which way is things. If like hopefully your rainbow is not an impediment to getting the work done. You know, I really like be very upset to flipping have to defend these people, these scumbags who are trying to maintain some of this shit. So what I'm trying to maintain is that justice be done and not undone. So undo Don's authority to have Supreme Court justices. The American people deserve an assurance. The Supreme Court, Ruth Bader Ginsburg she deserves to retire under a Democrat president. I'm sorry, Scalia was not meant to have Scalia made his mark with the flag burning first decision that protects speech that can include flag burning without having people's citizenship revoked. So there's a silliness. Trump supports a lot of execution. He supports a repressive style on women's shit. And now flipping, he's the lowest mandated. The Republicans have set a lowest bar ever, happenstantially. Oh yeah, like she'll get 90% of the new arrivals in Texas, but he'll clobber on new arrivals in Nevada and Florida, while no new arrivals show up for him in Minnesota and Wisconsin. It's the same flat line as Romney got in Minnesota and Wisconsin. Like, a wave of swing anything for Trump was not there in those states. It's only that the stressed out urban population is that much more distraught and removed from our processes. And he couldn't get him off into the polls. She couldn't get him off into the polls. And that the people were so concerned, so convinced that Don was an awful candidate that they didn't show up. People trusted that the American people would elect Hillary, and people didn't even figure out how to go about voting themselves. And, how flippin', it's buffoonery that runs the shit, because you gotta, like, tell the same urbanites to fit through the little glass hourglass at the Board of Elections for like 900,000 Cuyahoga voters to have like one early voting location with the same hours that Dark County has with 30,000 voters, and like how everybody would know where it was in Dark County because it's nearby like one of the 3 traffic lights, like, come on. It is so inequitable ballot access. We even had shorter windows, and because of this serious anomaly of a bunch of people left Ohio that were Democrats and moved to California, and California and Washington saw huge amounts of Republicans not participating, that they might as well have traveled to Florida and North Carolina and Michigan to tap into these states, because it looks like a displacement menagerie shit has been perpetrated on the people. Something close to that. Please look at my election analysis. It's not lining up. How come he didn't get any new... He only got 11,000 new registrants in Georgia, but she could get, like, 100? What was it? Like, this is cray. Alright, talk to you soon.